One hand. That is all that separates him from the void. His fingers, raw and bleeding, grip a wooden plank slick with ice while wind tears at his body. Below, a raging torrent of glacial water crashes against jagged rocks, the sound swallowed by the howling gale. Behind him, on the cliff he just left, 6 wolves pace the edge, snarling, their breath rising in white plumes. Ahead, on the far side of this swaying bridge, a massive polar bear stands motionless, blocking the only path to safety. His name is Kale. He is 20 winters old. And in this frozen moment, trapped between predators with nothing beneath him but death, he has perhaps 3 breaths to live. How did he end up here? And how does anyone survive this? 2 days earlier, the decision to build the crossing seemed like salvation. Kale's tribe, a small band of 9 souls led by the weathered hunter Varn, had been tracking along this canyon for almost a full moon cycle. The gorge cut through the frozen landscape like a wound, too wide to jump, too deep to descend. On the other side lay everything they needed: a sheltered valley, signs of game, escape from the relentless open steppe where predators had been pressing them for weeks. The wolves had found them first, a pack of 8, maybe 10, following at a distance that spoke of patience rather than hunger. They were not attacking, they were waiting. Every night, their howls grew closer. Every morning, their tracks appeared nearer to camp. Sira, who had survived more winters than anyone could remember, understood what this meant. The pack was testing them, probing for weakness, waiting for the moment when cold, hunger, or exhaustion made the tribe vulnerable. The tribe needed to cross. The bridge became their only answer. They built it in the old way, the only way their people knew. Wooden planks cut from fallen trees, lashed together with strips of prepared hide, secured to anchor points on each cliff face using twisted sinew rope. The construction took 3 days of brutal labor in freezing conditions. Fingers went numb. Rope became slick with ice before it could be tied. But finally, the crossing stretched across the abyss, narrow, swaying, terrifying, but passable. What they did not know was that something else had already claimed the far side. The polar bear appeared on the morning they planned to cross. It emerged from the snow like a ghost, massive and silent, and settled at the bridge's far anchor point, as if it had been waiting all along. These creatures were not common here, but hunger drove all things to desperate measures, and a bear that size needed enormous amounts of food to survive. Now the tribe faced an impossible choice. Behind them, wolves. Ahead, a bear. Between them, a bridge that swayed sickeningly with every gust of wind. Varn made the decision. They would cross in groups, moving quickly, using fire and noise to push past the bear before it could react. It was a desperate plan, but staying meant certain death. Kale went first. He was youngest among the hunters, fastest, most agile. His role was to reach the far side and create distraction while others followed. He carried a torch in one hand, a sharpened spear in the other. He made it halfway before everything went wrong. The sound came first, a sharp crack that echoed across the canyon. One of the planks, weakened by days of freezing and thawing, had split beneath his weight. His left foot plunged through the gap. Momentum threw him sideways. The spear tumbled into the void. His torch spun away, trailing sparks. And then he was falling, reaching desperately for anything solid. His fingers found the edge of the next plank. They closed around it with the strength of pure terror. And there he hung, legs swinging over nothing, the river roaring far below. This is the moment where panic kills. And here is what most people miss about Ice Age survival. The difference between living and dying often came down to the next 3 seconds of decision. Kale's body screamed at him to thrash, to kick, to pull himself up immediately. But the bridge was swaying violently now. Each movement sent vibrations through the entire structure. Behind him, the wolves sensed opportunity. They began advancing onto the bridge itself, testing the planks with cautious paws. Ahead, the bear rose onto its hind legs, suddenly alert. If Kyle moved wrong, he would fall. If he stayed still too long, his grip would fail. If the wolves or bear reached him, he was finished. But he was not alone. Varn was already moving. The old hunter had crossed 100 spans of dangerous terrain in his lifetime. He understood bridges, understood ice, understood the terrible arithmetic of weight and stress. He also understood that saving Kale meant risking everyone. He did it anyway. Varn dropped to his hands and knees. In this position, his weight spread across multiple planks rather than concentrating on one. He crawled forward, each movement deliberate, each shift of weight calculated. At the same time, Sira organized the others on the near cliff. They began making noise, shouting, banging stones together, waving burning branches. Not at Kael, at the wolves. The goal was disruption, confusion, buying precious seconds. The wolves hesitated. Their pack instincts warred with individual caution. Fire was ancient fear for them, bred across countless generations. They snarled, but did not advance. Varn reached Kael and gripped his wrist, but pulling him up directly would shift too much weight too quickly. Instead, Varn braced himself against the hide railings and created an anchor point. He spoke calmly, voice cutting through the wind. Slowly. Use your other hand. Find the rope. Kael's left hand found the twisted sinew that served as railing. His fingers, nearly frozen, closed around it. Now he had 2 points of contact. Varn maintained tension on his wrist. Together, in agonizing increments, they redistributed weight. Kael got one knee onto a solid plank, then the other. He lay flat, breathing in gasps, while the bridge continued to sway. But the danger was not over. The bear had begun moving. Its massive weight made the entire structure shudder with each step, and the wolves, seeing their prey horizontal and seemingly helpless, began advancing again. What happened next saved them all. Ren, the youngest of the tribe at barely 14 winters, did something unexpected. He grabbed a burning branch from the fire and hurled it not at the wolves, but onto the bridge itself, landing between the pack and where Kael lay. Fire on wood. In normal circumstances, disastrous, but the planks were so ice-coated that they would not truly burn. Instead, the flames created a barrier of light and heat that the wolves would not cross. They retreated, yelping, scrambling back to solid ground. The bear faced its own problem. Ren's thrown torch had landed near the middle of the bridge, cutting the structure into 2 zones. The bear could not reach Kael without passing through fire, and these animals, for all their power, feared flame above almost everything else. It retreated to the far cliff edge. It did not leave, but it hesitated, and hesitation was enough. Varn pulled Kael to his feet. Together, they moved toward the bear's side. It seemed insane advancing toward the larger predator, but Varn understood something essential. The bear was alone. The wolves were a pack. Between 2 threats, a single animal was more likely to yield. They approached with fire extended before them. Remaining tribe members followed, crossing the damaged bridge one at a time, each person crawling to distribute weight. The bear watched them come. Its small eyes tracked the flames. And then, as they reached solid ground on the far side, it turned and vanished into snow. They had survived, but at tremendous cost. The crossing was now damaged, with a missing plank and weakened lashings. Several people had minor injuries. Supplies had been scattered during the chaos, and they knew with certainty that both predators remained nearby. That night, huddled in a hastily constructed shelter, the tribe made a decision. They would fix the bridge, not just repair it, but fundamentally change how it was built. The near disaster had taught them lessons written in terror. Here is what they understood now. Wood became brittle in extreme cold. A plank that seemed solid could crack without warning when temperatures dropped. The solution was using shorter spans between supports, reducing stress on individual pieces. They would double the planks in critical sections, creating redundancy. Hide lashings were another problem. When wet, they froze solid. When frozen, they became rigid, but also brittle. The tribe began treating rope with rendered fat, creating coating that resisted moisture and maintained flexibility. The railing system needed complete redesign. Original railings had been an afterthought, something to grab if you stumbled. Now they understood that railings were load-bearing safety systems. They reinforced each anchor with stone wedges driven into cliff cracks. But the most important change was procedural. They established crossing protocols. 1 person at a time, minimum spacing, no running under any circumstances. The person crossing would carry no heavy loads. Supplies would be pulled across on a separate line after reaching safety. They created noise protocols. Crossing would only happen when the rest of the tribe was making controlled noise on both ends, keeping predators at distance. Not panicked screaming, but deliberate sound that signaled awareness and strength. The work took 2 days. During that time, they spotted wolf tracks circling their position. They heard the bear calling in the distance. The predators had not forgotten. They were waiting for another opportunity. On the 3rd morning, the tribe attempted a second crossing. The tension was unbearable. Everyone remembered what had happened to Kael. The wind still howled, the bridge still swayed, But this time, they moved with discipline. Varn crossed first, testing each plank, moving with steady patience of someone who understood that speed was the enemy. He reached the far side and immediately took defensive position, spear and torch ready. Sira crossed next. Then the others, one by one, with gaps between each person. Ren made noise on the near cliff. Kale, now recovered, made noise from the far side as people arrived. The wolves appeared during the fourth crossing. They emerged from the snow line, watching, testing. But the noise never stopped, the fire never wavered, and the humans never showed fear. The wolves did not advance. The bear appeared during the seventh crossing. It watched from a distance, a pale shape against white landscape, but it did not approach. Something had changed. The tribe no longer moved like prey. When the last person stepped onto solid ground, there was no celebration, only exhausted relief. They had lost nothing. The bridge stood. The crossing was complete. That night, Sira said something that would stay with them forever. The land does not care whether you survive. It only cares whether you learn fast enough. These were people without written language, without metal, without accumulated knowledge we take for granted, yet they had done something remarkable. They faced impossible situations, survived through cooperation, analyzed their failure, and built systems to prevent it from ever happening again. If you learned something from their story, take a moment to like this video. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. Leave a comment telling me what you would have done on that bridge. Share this with someone who appreciates real survival and real human courage. The cold is always patient. Stay ready.